In this video, I'm going to break down and simplify exactly how we scale painting companies. I'm going to walk you through a real example with one of my clients, Luis, and how we're adding $200,000 in profit to his business in a year while getting his time back and working less than he is now. This is exactly how we scale painting companies. It's how you do it the right way. It's how you keep it simple. And we're going to dive into all the numbers, all the math, and the most important changes we're going to make. Let's get to it. The first thing that we always want to do is see benchmarks of where people are currently at. So I'm going to break down Luis's numbers as they stand today. So he currently does 6 estimates per week. He has a 38% sales rate. He has an average job size of 6,400, which means he currently sells about 2.28 jobs per week on average. Now, if we do the math, that's going to be just shy of $15,000 a week. So we'll round it to keep it simple, but that's about $15,000 per week in business. And we're going to assume that he's in business for 45 weeks a year because there's some down weeks, and that comes out to right about $650,000 in business. Then we need to look at the financial of the business. So on his $650,000, he makes a 45% gross profit margin. Luis has done a really amazing job. He only has 5% overhead. So he's kept his overhead really low. That's going to be right at about $32,000. This is a mistake a lot of painting contractors make, is they bloat their overhead. He's done a really good job keeping that low. And then he's got 7% for marketing, which is really healthy, but we're going to find that we can make that even better. What this leaves him with is we have 45%, minus 5% is 40, minus 7 is a 33% profit margin, which is about $280,000 per year, which is a pretty healthy business. I don't think anybody's complaining about this, but the reason we're working with Luis is because we can make this a lot better. So now let's go through what we call our strategic plan. This is the very first thing we do with every single person we work with. It's how we run every single one of our companies, is we want to identify the benchmarks we're not hitting and how to improve those benchmarks with a really simple action plan that we're going to do over the next 6 to 12 months to grow this business and make it a healthier business that can actually scale. All right, so there's gonna be 5 main changes that we're gonna make to this business. And the first one we're gonna make is we're gonna improve the profit margin to 50%. He's got a pretty healthy profit margin at 45, but it should be better than that, and you need it to be better to really scale into the future. So we always want to fix that right away. There's 2 things that you can do to fix the profit margin. The first thing you can do is you can raise your prices. The second thing you can do is you can improve the efficiency of your labor, essentially. In Luis's case, we know we just need to raise prices. He's running healthy margins with his crews. We know that. And so we know his problem is he's just not charging quite enough money. And so all we're really gonna do here is we're gonna raise his prices by 10%. Increase 10% on price, which means his new average job size is gonna be $7,000, but we'll get to that in a little bit. The second change we're gonna make with Luis is we're gonna improve his sales. So right now he's closing 38% of the estimates that he's doing, and we want that to be at 50%. As a business owner, you should close 50% of the estimates you do. And if you're not closing 50%, you're not doing a good enough job in the sales presentation. So in our company, we actually like to see our business owners closing 65 to 70% of their estimates, because what I've found over the years is, as the owner, if you're closing 50, your team is probably gonna close 40. And if you're closing 60, your team's gonna close 45. If you're closing 65 to 70, you can train your team to close 50 to 55. It's hard to train someone to be better than you are. And if you think you can just hire a salesperson who's just exceptional out of the gate with no training, I've hired hundreds and hundreds of salespeople. Those people are pretty rare. And so you need to get really good at sales yourself so you can effectively train your team. And there's a ton of money in this, which we'll see when we look at the final result. So we're gonna improve his sales rate to 50%. Improving sales is really simple. Sales is a massively studied subject. There's tons of coaching, tons of training, tons of books, tons of principles. There's just so much out there on sales. It's really just about implementing proven sales principles into your sales process. And I have a lot of other videos on my channel about how to improve the sales process. But for Luis, we're gonna just hand him the playbooks and say, all right, this is what you're gonna say word for word when you're walking around the house to increase the perceived value of the bid and increase their expectations of price. To move his sales rate from 38 to 50 is a pretty small task. We just need to put something in that we already know works. That's the same sales process we use at our own companies, where our partners do close 70, 75% of their estimates, and our across the board, our team is closing 50%. If we're gonna improve his sales process, that's the next step too, because when we raise the price, if he doesn't change his sales process, his price just goes up. He's probably gonna sell more like 35%, 34% instead of 38. And so then we've got a little bit more work to do on improving sales. The third thing that we're gonna do here is we're gonna increase his estimates. So he needs to invest in some more marketing. So we're only gonna aim to add 2 more estimates per week. We're gonna improve that again later, but the first step is, all right, let's just go from 6 to 8. And that's gonna be the third big step. So really improving estimates, the easiest way to do this is, how are you already getting business? Do more of it. Oh, you're getting business from lawn signs. Cool, how many do you put out a week? 10? Great, put out 20. Oh, you're getting business from Facebook ads. How much are you spending a day? 50 bucks? All right, spend 100. Oh, you're doing door to door? Do more of it. Now, the only tricky thing is if you're getting all your business from referrals or repeat business, then you can't scale that. So then you need to start doing some of the basics, whether it's knocking on doors, dropping lawn signs, running Facebook ads, running Google local services ads. Those are gonna be the easiest things to do at this low scale. And then when we do get his Facebook ads running, which he's doing, and we're gonna improve them, then we're just gonna spend more money to get to the next tier. So this is always gonna be do more first, and then you can add things later. But you almost always have room to scale. Pretty much everything I just listed through in marketing, you could get $1 million in your business from any one of those things. All right, the fourth thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna hire a project manager. So what's gonna happen when we do these first 3 things for Luis is, first, he's got an increased job size. So now he's doing $7,000 jobs. His sales rate at 50%, and he does 2 more estimates. Now he's doing 8 estimates a week, and he's closing 4 for $28,000 a week. He's gonna be a busy dude. Like, that is a lot of revenue to manage yourself. Now, we knew this was his plan because he's got really great crews and he's actually really efficient in production. He's got a lot of room in his schedule to scale, which just tells me, okay, we've got room to grow. So once he gets there though, he's gonna be like a busy dude and we need to get his time back. So then we're gonna really slowly, methodically hire a project manager and then very slowly and methodically train that project manager. These other implementations here don't take that long, but this one is gonna be his heaviest lift because it takes the most time to get it right, and you don't want to get it wrong, because if you invest 6 months and you get it wrong, you got to start over and you're 6 months behind. So then we're going to hire a project manager. Once that project manager is hired, trained, and onboarded, Luis doesn't need to spend nearly as much time managing projects, which means he's got more time. And the fifth thing we're going to do is we're going to add 2 more estimates a week. How are we going to do that? We're going to do more of what we're already doing. Now, these are the 5 changes, and when I walked through this with Luis, it felt like it's not that many things, and like I want to hurry and get it all done. What I pointed out to Luis is the result. If I can just do these 5 things over the next year, nothing else, just let's raise prices by 10%. That's done by next week. All right, let's work on sales. Let's work on it for 3 months. Let's bump your estimates up a couple. Like, this won't take more than a couple weeks. So all of a sudden, like 3 months of just this is like, that's a lot of time. Like 3 months to do this, very doable. I'm like, and then we're gonna spend 6 months on this project manager. That's gonna be the big one. And then we're gonna add a couple more estimates a week. And so Luis's new schedule, I'll show you in a minute. So now we just wanna see the result of these changes, because this isn't much, and it doesn't take much to produce insane results. So the new result is he went from 6 estimates a week, then we added 2 and added 2 more. So now he's doing 10 estimates per week. We improved his sales rate to 50%. So now he's booking 5 jobs per week. We've increased his average job size to 7,000 because we increased price. So that's a 7K average job size, which means he's now selling $35,000 per week, up from $15,000 a week. Pretty good. All right, if we do that 45 weeks out of the year, that's gonna be $1.575 million in sales. So this is his total sales. Now let's look at his financials and how those have changed. So the first thing is we have 1.575 million. We're now at a 50% gross profit, which means he's got $787,000 for his cost of goods sold, or his labor and materials, leaving him a 50% gross profit. All right, so that's 50% right there. All right, so we're also gonna assume that his overhead goes up. So he was at $32,000 a year. Let's say we hire a project manager for $100K. Now he's at $132, and then we're just gonna assume some insurance went up, he's paying for a coaching program now, and other things. We're gonna say his overhead went to $185,000 in overhead, which is about 12%. And then his marketing is going to be at $110,000 because he was already at 7%. We're going to assume that stays at 7% because there's a lot of room to get better, but also because he's selling at a higher rate and a higher job size, which drives down the cost of marketing as a percentage. He's getting a lot more revenue out of only a few more estimates. He was doing 6 estimates, now he's doing 10. He was doing 600, now he's doing 1.5 million. So we don't need to increase marketing by double to get only 40%, 60% more estimates. So this is how this all plays out. And then if we look at his net profit, he's going to end up with 1.575 million minus 787, which is 50%, minus 185, which is 12%, minus 110, which is 7%. That means he's going to end up at about 69%. Expenses, 31% net profit, which is going to come out to a grand total of about $503,000 in net profit, which is an addition of $223,000 in profit in 1 year. So now we want to look at his time, right? So we said this is how we're going to add $200,000 in profit in a year. Now let's see how's he going to do it by working less. So we're just going to do this right up here. So we've got kind of the before and the after. Before, he's doing 6 estimates and he's managing his marketing and he's managing production, managing projects. Afterwards, he's not doing this and he's doing 10 estimates. That's basically the change. So the big key is we're hiring away half of his time to managing projects, and then he's just adding a few estimates a week. So what someone's schedule should look like at this new stage that he's at is he basically has marketing for maybe 5 hours a week. He's got estimates, which are going to take him 20 hours a week. And then he's got managing his project manager, which is going to be about 5 hours a week. So this should be about a 30-hour week schedule. And then that's not the end. The next thing we're going to end up doing with him is hiring a sales rep. So that's going to be the next year, or as soon as he gets this action plan done. Then it's hire a sales rep and bump the estimates to 15. And then he's going to train that sales rep, and then he starts to move into, hey, I've got actually like a 15 to 20-hour work week. We're doing $1.7 million, but someone else is selling it, someone else is producing it, and my margin's going to drop by a little bit because I have a salesperson now. So that's just how we think about building and scaling companies. So it doesn't need to be this big, crazy ordeal to grow and scale a company. It's about making the right, very methodical improvements that when you stack these different principles together, the result is a massive jump. And it's one of the most amazing things about being a business owner is the amount of money that you can add in a year to your bottom line. Like the amount of pay raise you can give yourself is insane. And this right here is like what I'm all about, is how do we actually make extraordinary results happen with ease. And this might give you a little peek into how we get the kind of results that you see across all the case studies. So if you want to see and hear from 30 plus people that we've done this kind of work with, we've got a lot of amazing case studies on the Painting Business Pro Show. You can click the link somewhere on this video to go watch some of those case studies and see how everyday people just like you are producing extraordinary results in their life and business. And these are not uncommon results. This is the kind of stuff we do day in and day out with people. We do this day in and day out with our own companies. And if you want us to help you do it, just reach out. We'd love to help. So check out the case studies. Hope you got something out of this video. We'll talk to you soon.